Here's why 2026 could be an even more challenging year based on Chinese astrology. Just by looking at the annual Bazi chart, year 2026 signifies a pure fire element year where the Bing fire sits atop, and that the horse sign at the bottom is known as the peak of the fire season, which means the temperature of the chart could only get warmer as it goes. Technically speaking, the fire element is the only element that could transform all the other four elements such as metal, wood, earth, and even water. And on the other hand, you would have already knew that fire has no permanent shape and form due to its flickering nature. Which is why we can anticipate that 2026 could be a big transformational year for many of us as more volatilities and uncertainties are starting to impact many aspects of our lives. Like it or not, the reshaping of new global order have already begun, ranging from global trade to military to financial aspects. Thus, the reality of harsher economic and social policies could come closer than ever as countries rush to protect their own interests. And since the spotlight will be on the Bing fire in 2026, it is good to note that the Bing fire is akin to the sun in Chinese metaphysics. Therefore, you can say that the Bing fire will bring light and warmth to many as well as being scorching hot at certain times of the year. However, in the 2026 chart, you may have noticed that there are actually two Bing fires at the top stem. This could possibly imply that there could be intense jostling of political power. There could be power grab within the US White House, or even in Russia, or perhaps in China or North Korea, as the two suns fighting for the throne. And because of the Bing fire dislikes to be outshined, you could also expect that major powers of the world to be on war footing and try to compete for larger influence through military and economic threat in 2026. Furthermore, you may also realize that there are a total of 4 Bing fire in the 2026 Bazi chart, which exactly indicate an overload of fire element. Having too many Bing fire in a chart could point to ego issues and overzealousness, so you may want to expect more military flexing, including the threat of nuclear weapons usage. At the same time, there's a likelihood for us to come across revelations of some major global scandals, the possibility of overheating financial markets including stocks and crypto, as well as continuous extreme weather including widespread famine and serious threats to farming sectors, as the fire element goes into overdrive in 2026. As if we have not had enough of fire elements, the 2026 annual chart shows that there's even more fire in store for us, based on the horse and double tiger combination that forms another fire structure. Clearly, we now can see that this is a chart of scorching temperature that could lead to barren soil. For example, smaller countries would be bullied to surrender resources, including manpower. Hence, my take is to expect to see more resolute build-out in military alliances due to the horse and double tiger combo, and secondly, possible and senseless government policies and decisions, as well as more vindictive economic and financial sanctions, which may lead many countries facing serious social discontent and unrest due to these economic pressures. Moving forward, things could become even more interesting when the 2026 chart has zero water element. The water element serves as the wealth star of 2026. For easier understanding, and in the context of Chinese metaphysics, water could be construed as shipping, trading, import and export, and can be seen as element of wisdom. So in this case where water and wisdom is missing, you can expect more irrational sanctions, port denials, shipping embargoes that could impact global financial, shipping, trade, and supply chains, and possibly leads to scarcity of money supply in the market due to disruptions in import, export, and money flow. Not only that, the chances of hot war becomes even larger by the day, and be prepared of the reality where a huge plunge in stocks and crypto market taking place, as there is no water element to control the overheating sentiments. Normally, when an element is balanced and not overload, it can be of a huge advantage to many aspects of forecasts in Bazi. However, when the Bing fire is overdosed on steroids, it will display more of its negative traits. Therefore, the distorted Bing fire will likely create stronger 7-killing clash to the Gung metal in 2026 Bazi chart. On the surface, this is a clash that puts the Gung metal into serious disadvantage, as the metal could never reach to the distant sun and could only get hotter the longer the clash goes. Here, the Gung metal in the month pillar signifies the existing power and authority, such as governments. Hence, this may indicate that many existing major establishments, countries, governments or leaders could be facing enormous external and internal pressures throughout. Subsequently, the possible implications from the fire and metal clash could also indicate more military miscalculations and conflicts between major powers or proxy countries, as well as possible nuclear-related accident with a wide-reaching impact in 2026. Why would I think so? Because the Bing fire and Gung metal is often a clash between the temperamental and confrontational, and also a clash between the bold and the aggressive. Conversely, be prepared to see more existing local and international laws to be distorted in 2026. And with the 2026 Bazi chart, I won't be surprised to even see the fall or demise of a superpower leader, because the resource star can also relate to health-related matters. Plus, there's also a metal and wood clash. Another thing to look out is the clash between the hour and the month pillar. This may actually indicate possible farmers' retaliation that is stemmed from certain governments' protective policies that easily led to disruptions to our food supplies and sending prices skyrocketing once again. Moving forward, the 2026 Fire Horse Year chart carries the fire element of different polarity, where the Bing and Ding fire appearance may indicate the potential of more rivalries, polarity, impulsive yet reckless decision-making by many governments and establishments, as well as potential loss of wealth. On the hindsight, this could be a clear indicator for us to be very financially prudent in 2026. Another big factor that we could see in 2026 is the Feng Shui double whammy potential. Two of the most fearsome factors in annual Feng Shui assessments are the annual star number 5 as well as the 2026 Grand Duke sector. Both of these can exert very destructive impact if confronted or activated at the wrong place and at the wrong time, which could mean conflicts, misfortunes or even health issues. And with the White House in particular being on the north and south orientated building, one can expect 2026 to be filled with lots of dramas and excitement, especially if the South Lawn is being activated with aggressive events in 2026. Another big factor that could indicate 2026 being a challenging year is the annual hexagram of 2026. This 2026 annual hexagram could be the most befitting one if we look at the current situation of our world. The hexagram of fellowship depicts an image of fire rising towards heaven to seek alignment with higher purpose. However, going at the rate of current state of global affairs, the essence of tribalism in this hexagram exemplifies why many astrologists and myself would think that the coming 12 to 18 months could be the most transformational period of our lifetime. So get ready and brace for the storm.